Round 3 of the Protyre Circuit Rally Championship headed to Donington Park for the Tegua Donington Rally. And thankfully, although the conditions were wet, it wasn't the ice and snow that we faced here last year. Fastest by the end of the morning stages would be John Griffiths and Emma Morrison, laying down a marker by 23 seconds after the first 3 stages in the Skoda. And that lead will be over reigning champions Michael Igoe and Will Atkins. The pair had been leading the rally for the first 2 stages, but a 30-second penalty for hitting a chicane will put them back down into second, a fight-back position going into the afternoon. For John and Alex Stone, it will be 3rd place overall and a good soundtrack inside the car. Queen, wasn't it, boys? A position they were getting somewhat used to being in now. They did get held up slightly on the first stage of the day, but things overall were shaping up well for the polo pair. Sean and Colin Quigley were a late entry, having been on the reserve list of this bumper entry here for the Donington Park stages, and it will be 4th place for now. They were 37 seconds back from Stone at this stage. A little way to go if they were going to get onto the podium at this round. Mark Jasper and Don Wyatt know how to bring the crowd. The Metro out once again. A great sight and sound it is on the stages as well. They have a small altercation with the stage furniture along the way, which would take off the front splitter. But apart from that, things going pretty well in 5th. It was hardly Darian weather, but Joshua and Tamsin Davey were making mincemeat of the stages. It was the lead in Class D, the pair the fastest of the 2-wheel drive crews at this stage, and looking at picking up a good haul of championship points from this round if they could continue at this pace. Just behind them, and an impressive performance it was as well, were Josh Payton and Jamie Vaughan. It was close, just 3 seconds between them and the Darien pair at this stage. The Escort pair sliding their way into 7th overall. Tony Robinson and Paul Spooner didn't quite get the start that they'd had at Cadwell for the previous round, but they were still going strong, ending the morning 8th place on the overall leaderboard in the Skoda. 21 seconds would be the difference in Class C, and Tom Stockdale and Neil Chambers take 2nd in that class behind Payton and Vaughan up ahead. The BMW pair were only 8 seconds behind Robinson as well. Another impressive 2-wheel drive performance here at the 3rd round. And rounding out the top 10 would be Tony and Martin Davies. They'd also be lying 2nd in Class D as well, with the times that they were setting out there on the stages. Never mind Darien weather, this pair were charging hard. Just taking a look down some of the classes outside of the top 10 leaderboard, it will be 2nd place in Class B for David Jenkins and Philip Hopkins. They take the Evo to 11th place overall. Phil in the co-driver's seat and reportedly enjoying himself as well. 3rd place in that class will be Ian Ross and John Petrie in the rallyschool.co.uk Subaru, just a few positions back overall in 17th at this stage. The lead of Class C was of course being fought out inside the top 10, but for 3rd place in the class Clive Hitchman and Jeremy Griffith, it would be 14th overall at this stage. In Class D, it was 3rd place in the class for Alfie Threlfall and Patrick Cross. Going well, moving up the leaderboard and lying in 13th overall as well in his 2nd ever rally in the Civic. In Class E, we'd see an early lead for Chris Woodhouse and Lucy Wilding. The Peugeot pair open up a very good advantage in that position as well. Their lead was over this man, Harry Pinchin, Colin Jenkins alongside. 1400 legend Darren Pinchin here to watch the battles unfold as well. They take 2nd in the class, 27th overall in the little Citroen C2 at this stage. Their advantage would be over Joe Piggott and John Fellows, who were only 4 seconds back from the pair in the class and on the overall results. In Class F, it will be the lead for Matthew and Adrian Walk in the Fiesta. They needed that result for the Heart of England Championship, so they'd be keen to keep hold of that lead and keep their noses clean for a finish. 2nd in the class, though, were Adam Bickley and Richard Mills in the MG. 30 seconds back, not an impossible gap to make up, but it would take some strong stage times through the afternoon, that was for sure. And 3rd place in the class would be Chris Worrell and Jonathan Hudson. A couple of positions further back on the overall times, but there was only 9 seconds between them by the midway point of the rally. It was a frustrating morning though for Kay Thompson and Reece Brooks, not in the fight that they'd wanted to be in at this stage. A misfire on the second stage causing them to slow down, limping the car through the final part of the stage and slipping down the order overall. In Class G, there'd be two crews this time out, and it'd been a lead for David Fox and Paul Price in the MG. They lie in 39th overall. This a class for road rally cars, a big performance given how standard the car was. It even still has the carpets. And they'd have a lead over this big Volvo of Bill Douglas and Andy O'Hanlon. The pair pushing that heavy car around the stages and entertaining the spectators probably as much as the 6R4 to 73rd overall for now. So with the morning stages complete here at the Tegua Donington Stages Rally, the results are looking like this. An eventful and attrition-filled morning here at Donington Park then. We go into the afternoon stages. And in Class G, there'd be no change for Bill Douglas and Andy O'Hanlon. They take second in the class in that beautiful Volvo 244. That, of course, means no change to the class lead for David Fox and Paul Price in the Road Rally MG. They take the class win. Things in Class F remaining pretty much as they had through the morning as well, with Chris Worrell and Jonathan Hudson keeping hold of third to the finish. Second in the class ahead of them were Adam Bickley and Richard Mills, ending the rally with 36th overall. But taking victory and keeping things going in the right direction were Matthew and Adrian Walk, exactly what we said they needed to do. The Fiesta pair happy with a 34th place overall finish and what that meant for their Heart of England championship hopes as well. A bit of change in Class E for Harry Pinchin and Colin Jenkins. They, frustratingly for them, slipped down to third in the class by the finish. Still a decent performance. It was still close as well. Joe Piggott and John Fellows moving up to take second in the class. A few overall positions between them, but on the timesheets, it was really close. Class C would see some change as well, one of those being George Clark and Adam Burkill, who bring the Mini Rally Challenge Cooper S into third place in the class by the end of the event. An impressive performance from George. Ahead of them will be Simon Belcher and Kerry Pullen. They'd have almost half a minute of an advantage in that position as well, lying in 22nd overall. In the lead of the class, though, it was still a Stockdale BMW. This time, however, it was old man Martin Stockdale, Ross Hammond alongside, who lead the way, taking family honours and the class win in their BMW 1M. There's change in Class B as well, as event sponsor Luke Zedzikowski and Andrew Ford move up into third place in the class, putting that disastrous result behind them at Cadwell Park. A strong result for their first time out in four-wheel drive on a rally and the competitive debut for that Tegua Evo 9. In Class D, it was third place. Chris and Steve Grundy, they end the rally just outside the top 10 overall in 11th. And just ahead in the class, rounding out the top 10 overall, were Michael and Benjamin Jowers. The Escort pair not feeling like they'd been going fast enough all day, but that very clearly wasn't the case. In 9th place overall, it would be the eventual Class E winners and an impressive performance for Chris Woodhouse and Lucy Wilding in the 208 R2. They held on to that position throughout the day, making it a strong end to the weekend in the Peugeot. A close finish and some more change in Class D, notably our class leaders in the morning, Joshua and Tamsin Davey, coming to a stop on the 4th stage, having to call it a day. A massive frustration for them. They're unable to work out the issue and have to see that fantastic result fall away. No one can take that performance from the first few stages away from them, though, of course. That, though, plays into the hands of this man. Tony Davies, Martin Davies alongside. Now moving up to that class lead in the shorter, stubbier Darien T9. And doesn't it look good? They kept hold of that to the finish, keeping the class win in their grasp and 8th overall. Just ahead on the overall results were Dave Jenkins and Philip Hopkins. It hadn't been a clean run, but it was Dave's first time in four-wheel drive. Then not many had got away with a clean run today anyway. They reached the end of the rally, 7th place overall, 2nd in the class. For Tony Robinson and Paul Spooner, it's a good enough result this weekend and another good haul of points to add to that finish last time out in 6th overall. Mark Jasper and Don Wyatt keep the 6R4 going with a slither of the 80s showing us how it should be done through the afternoon, keeping hold of that 5th place. A strong result for the pair on what is pretty much an occasional outing in that glorious car. No change for Sean and Colin Quigley. They couldn't quite get on terms with the front runners and get onto the podium, settling for 4th. But it was still a great result for them after not being at any of the previous rounds this season. Their campaign now underway. For the ever-entertaining John and Alex Stone, it will be the final step on the podium. And although John will be the first to say they don't like talking about it, this result does keep them in the lead of the championship standings going into the winter break, and I'm sure they'll enjoy that. There was frustration, though, for Michael Igo and Will Atkins. No coming back from that penalty. They do gain a bit of time back, 10 seconds, in fact, through the last stage, but not enough, having to settle for 2nd. Still, it was a good result as far as the championship was concerned, and better, certainly, than that non-finish last time out at Cadwell Park. All of that means it's victory for John Griffiths and Emma Morrison. A really good result for them, one that leaves the championship wide open going into the new year. 6 more rounds remaining. So at the end of a pretty tricky Teguer Donington rally, the final results look like this.
Two on the bounce. At what point do I stop saying this is a new car to you?
I think when we have a clean run and nothing happens to one or the other of us, then we can see where we are. I mean, Martla was pushing on, and it's definitely it's a good car. Well, I'm still not fully at home with it, so there's still a bit more to come, which is good. But yeah, to get away with 2 wins, I think we've done well. I'll put it that way. Absolutely. I didn't expect it this early. I expected it later on in the championship. Yeah. So yes, all good, all good.
Good. You go into the Christmas break now with big smiles on your face. A bit of a relaxing time for you, then you can start working towards brands. Yeah, is that right, Emma?
I don't know about a relaxing time, but pressure's off for a few weeks. But I think Mr. Stone's still got the pressure on, hasn't he?
Yeah.
He's still going to be leading.
Absolutely.